right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us here at the Lakers Fast Break, it is truly appreciated, especially after games like this. Well, the Lakers went into Utah today. We were looking at possibly doing the impossible and coming out on top on the road where we actually play a lot better. And unfortunately, that didn't come to pass as Utah seemed very spirited today. Of course, the NBA's best record team. And you know what? We want to go ahead and give them a shout out because, hey, they played well. After that second quarter burst when they got up by 10, it was all she wrote. And again, the Utah Jazz won 114-89. Want to give a big shout out to Kevin Salmani. Need a few more ankle breakers by LeBron before we could say that we're actually ever in the game. But here today to talk about the game are two brave men indeed to be talking today on a day like this after the Lakers absolutely were embarrassing from the second quarter on. But here today to talk about the game is a good man indeed. You got to catch his comments today at LakerHolics.com. It is LRob, and LRob, thanks for being on the program once again today. You are a brave man. I don't see Admiral Akbar. You know, I heard his comments earlier today on Lakerholics on the Facebook group. I don't see Sean Grice in Canada. He's hiding somewhere in Canada. But I definitely see two brave men here, first starting with you, LRob.
Gerald, it's my pleasure to be here. Hey, you got to take the bitter with the sweet, right? So, like New Edition said, can you stand the rain? And today it is pouring in Lakerland.
It's raining cats, dogs, alligators, anything you want.
But, you know, sometimes you just got to enjoy the other team. If you're a basketball fan, you like to see a good product. And Utah, I hadn't really paid them a whole lot of attention. They play very well. They move the ball around. You know, Mitchell was very unselfish. And so it was fun watching them play, doing my little scouting of them, you know, so it was good. Enjoyed watching Utah. Not so much the Lakers, though.
Well, that's true, but I have been watching them since the beginning of the season, and this is something I had told our next guest about 6 weeks ago. But he could sort of just dismiss them when they were in the middle of their first winning streak. I wonder how he thinks about them now, but we'll go ahead and hear right now from him. He is the mastermind behind LakerHolics.com. He is also a very brave man. You know what? He's going to be here, win or lose, and that's what you do when you're world champions. And that's what I got to remember is that we're world champions. It is LakerTom. And LakerTom, I understand that we're down 2 guys, but that depth we were talking about has not been there in the past few games. The commitment to going ahead and making good shots has not been there. We saw a great example of rebounding, transitions, and three-point accuracy. Unfortunately, it didn't come from the Lakers.
No, you almost feel like we ought to change the name of this show to the Jazz Fast Break.
Might have to.
They out-fast breaked us 21-6, and it was a close game until the second quarter when they went in and threw 3 straight threes at us. As I said many times, the stat that determines who wins games today is the three-point differential. We lost that three-point differential by 14 threes and 42 points today. And one of the things that I have to agree with Lee on is that it was a pleasure watching the Jazz offense play. Their guys are always in the right spot. Their guys always use screens so that the defender can't get by them. Their guys always rotate on offense to fill those holes when somebody drives into the key so that they always know where an open three-point shooter is. And they played beautifully. It's a benefit of the fact that they've got 8 guys returning from last year. So they've got a very, and then they got Favors coming back who's played there 8 years before he went off for a year. So they've got continuity, which is really, in a season like this season, is turning out to be something very positive for them. And you're absolutely right, Gerald. I disrespected the Jazz early in the season, and I apologize to all of the Utah fans. I think they are right now the best team out there. They have the number one three-point defense. They have the number one three-point offense. And this is going to be a year where it's going to be tough to beat them. You can say they don't have a superstar, but they got two guys in Donovan Mitchell and the ex-Laker Jordan Clarkson, who can get their shot anytime, anywhere on the court. And it was a pleasure to see both of them play today. Hats off to the Jazz. They demolished the Lakers. They've got a new owner, a winning record. Everything looks like sky high for Utah at this point in time. We'll see what happens with the Lakers. I mean, I think that what's happened with the Lakers is we've seen the big weakness that they really did not address correctly at the offseason, which is better shooting. And then secondly, guys who can get their own shot. And actually in today's modern game, guys who can get their own three. And we don't have many of those guys. LeBron's probably the only guy on the team who can really get his own three anytime he wants it. And he's sort of following the pattern of last year, where he started off the season shooting in the 40% range and ended up shooting around the average of the league, around 36, 37%. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next few games. We'll see whether Dennis returning on Friday can give us some inspiration. I like the fact that I actually predicted that they might start Markieff Morris and Talen Horton-Tucker. Both of them got good first quarters, but really didn't have good games. And it was, it's a funny game, because when the Lakers lose and the guy with the worst plus minus on the team happens to be LeBron James, then you really have some concern. This team desperately needs shooting. They desperately need better perimeter defense, better interior defense. They looked shell-shocked today after that second quarter. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond. It still is a long season. There's a long way to go. You wouldn't expect this team to have fallen apart like it has, losing AD and Schroeder. We'll see if they can recover and play better with Schroeder. Otherwise, it's going to be a very difficult path. I've always predicted that it's going to be maybe the toughest gauntlet that we've ever faced, trying to get to a championship, trying to get to the NBA Finals and win a championship this year, because they're going to have to go through the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Clippers, these Utah Jazz, and then they'll have to pay the New Jersey Nets, who are probably playing better than anybody else in the league right now at this point in time. And that's without Kevin Durant. So tall order coming up for the Lakers. Big challenge for the vice president of basketball operations, Rob Pelinka, and a big challenge for the coaching staff, Frank Vogel and his coaching staff, to see what they can do to get the team out of the malaise that they're in now. They're not playing good basketball on either side of the court. And I thought I had high hopes after the first quarter, because I thought they played extremely well in the first quarter and weathered 5-1 3-point deficit and still were within 1 point. But they came out and just got shocked at the start of the second quarter with those 3 threes. And then they came out at the halftime and got shocked right away with a three from the corner, and then a dunk from Gobert. Gasol shot better today, but boy, he just sat there and didn't even make moves to try to get into Gobert's way. And he was out of the play. He was the guy who was supposed to rotate on all of those 3 or 4 dunks in a row that Gobert had, and he was nowhere to be seen. He barely got his foot into the paint by the time Gobert dunked the ball. So I'm still very strongly feeling that the Lakers need to make some moves. We'll see what Rob Pelinka does before the trade deadline.
I didn't even have enough energy to tell you it's Brooklyn and not New Jersey.
Oh, geez. You're right.
Usually it's very spirited, and I'll go ahead and interject. But you know what? I just don't even have enough energy right
You're right,
now.
Brooklyn. That's excuse me.
And LRob too. LRob and I were just like
the Washington Bullets too. I'm sure.
Yes. Let's just we'll go on all that. But yes, I will say that I want to give a big shout out to Albert and also Kevin for sending out some love and some great comments. But it is the Lakers. They did lose 114-89. LRob, I want to go ahead with the Jazz real quick. I mean, the Jazz didn't, if you look on paper from last year to this year, there wasn't that, many changes that were made. LakerTom mentioned that they did get back one individual who is now their backup center, who was their backup center 2 years ago. But outside of that, this is essentially the same team. Mike Conley has been healthy most of the season and seems to be upset that he wasn't an all-star, and obviously showed that today why he was very upset. And I know a lot of other people are talking about there that how great they look time in, time out. But, I mean, this is a case example, LRob, that you didn't have to make a whole ton of changes in order to get a substantially better team. They just had to be healthy and start playing together, and I think that's what's working right now.
Yeah, I agree. But Bogdanovich was injured last year too, right?
Yeah, his wrist. You're right. His wrist. He was out
Conley was up and down, mostly down most of the season. I know he came on at the end of the season and started playing better. But he's playing markedly better this year. So
he might be the most improved player.
Yeah, he was good last year.
But he's never played like this. Clarkson has never played like this.
Yeah, Jordan's playing the best basketball in his life. They got him in the perfect role. Just go out there and score and do your thing. You got free reign, and he's a very good scorer. He's one of the best off the bench. So give Snyder a lot of credit. He's coaching up to those guys' strength. He's got them playing very unselfishly. I mean, they swing that ball across court and hit that to a corner shooter more than anybody I've seen do that in recent memory. I haven't watched them a ton. Gerald, you watched them. So is that something they do all the time?
Yep.
I watched them beat the Clippers, and they were doing the same thing to them.
Yeah, it's like teams leave that guy open when you swing it. And
whoever it is on that opposite side
in the corner is always open.
I'll just say this, LRob. First off, with Jordan Clarkson, we've never seen him hit with such efficiency. He's always been a gunner.
Yeah.
Always been a gunner, lackadaisical on defense, things of that nature. But now he's more committed to defense because it's within the scheme and confines of whatever they're doing in Utah. But also the fact that he's hitting with such efficiency, plus he's shooting it all the time, is really what's counting right now. He's almost close to 50% total on his field goals and almost 90% on his free throws. So he's doing, just a sensational job. And you're right, he is a sixth man of the year. As far as their offense, we saw tonight where Caruso, you see that cross-court pass, and Caruso's on that opposite end, defending the opposite end, but he has his feet in the paint, which is the first mistake, and that's why it's being exploited. That's why Utah does this to everyone as far as the cross-court pass. They wait for that defender on the opposite side to put his feet in the paint, and there's no way he can go ahead and make up that ground once you go ahead and send it right over his head. And we saw that at least 2 or 3 times tonight, and it was so irritating that they just don't get the message. None of these teams, like you said, LakerTom, the Clippers didn't get the message. These teams, I've seen this Utah now more than a few times now, and the way they go ahead and structure their offense even better now, they're running transition, they're offensive rebounding, they're doing all the things you need to do to get the job done.
Yeah, one of the things, too, is you can see the effect that when you play a team with Gobert on it and you can't hit your threes, it turns into a nightmare real fast because they're just going to clog the middle and they're going to let you fire away from outside. And we kept firing away from outside. I think we shot 25% finally with a few threes at the end. But that's the recipe. In my preview of the game, I said, basically, you have to hit your threes. If you hit your threes, you got a chance. But if you can't hit your threes and they start hitting their threes, then you're totally lost. And just like every basketball team, offense fires defense and defense fires offense. And if one of them is going bad, it just generally becomes contagious at the other end of the court. And the Lakers offense basically their defense reflected their terrible offense. The fact that we got out fast break 21-6.
No energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And I mean, you could tell. I mean, Kuzma's body language was awful from the. I watched it. I was like, when he first came in the game, he didn't have the energy, and I don't know if it's going back to Utah and not starting. Maybe he felt some kind of way about that. But from the it's like, dude, we need you to bring it in these type of games, and you go out.
But it wasn't just him too. It was everybody on the squad. I mean.
Yeah, but he's got the talent, Tom. He
kicked the ball out of bounds a couple of times. Caruso was horrible on defense. And he was like 1 for 9 or 1 for 8 offense.
It's just disappointing overall.
This is Raphael from NBADraftJunkies.com, and you are listening to the Lakers Fast Break.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
That is by far my favorite because it's also character driven and the stakes are high and there's much more of a mystery and intrigue to it.
A game like Wolfenstein, which people are saying are one of the most socially important video games of the past 10 years.
Catch our shows on radio worldwide 7 days a week or at any time on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on over 30 more podcast outlets. It's just a terrible performance by the Lakers, but hopefully they can play another.
The third best record in the league.
Yeah, it keeps on going down.
Yeah.
But hopefully the Lakers can set their record straight on Friday when they play another floundering team in Portland. But then that's always our Achilles heel because Damian Lillard just goes off for 50 against us and then smiles at us while he's doing it. But hopefully the Lakers can right their ship on Friday against Portland. But before we head on out, guys, I did want to mention everyone out there, we do know the Lakers schedule drop, and please go ahead and check out the article that Jamie Sweet, and I helped him a little bit amend that too as well. The Lakers schedule for the second half is now available at Lakerholics.com. I will ask LakerTom, LRob if he's here. I'm hoping he will be, and anybody else on Friday who comes in and joins us on the show, that we're going to go ahead and talk about the Lakers schedule, some interesting points in the Lakers schedule. We'll go ahead and talk about that on the next program because I'm really too depressed right now to talk about it. But before we head on out, guys, I do want to go ahead and mention and give some kudos to somebody, Quinn Cook, who was waived earlier this week. I know that people saw him. He couldn't play defense. Every time he tried to go to the basket, they thought he was fearless, but it ultimately ended up with him on the floor and no basket made. But the guy could shoot. He's a career 40% three-point shooter. But, again, he just really couldn't crack the lineup ever at all for the Lakers consistently. But I do want to give him props for being that type of individual that teams can, look at and say, you know what, he's a really good team guy, really good player to have in the locker room. And, he does go on the free agency, right, because he was waived earlier this week. I think the Lakers are currently 1.7 on under the hard cap right now at about $700,000 that they have to go ahead and get hit on as far as the tax is concerned. But it does leave now 2 spots open for the team at this point in time. So before we head on out, I want to say some nice things about Quinn Cook. Again, real good team guy. Never had an issue with him. Always seemed to be good with LeBron and whatnot. Saw them playing 2K together and all that. Thought he was a really great kid, and I'm wishing him tremendous success wherever he decides to go ahead and go next. But guys, want to go ahead and see if you can go ahead, starting with you, LRob, on Quinn Cook before we head on out. I mean, what's he have? 3 championships?
Yeah, he's got 3 rings. He got a couple with the Warriors, so he's a winner, and he's someone LeBron wanted on the team. He's got the right attitude. And you need guys like that, on your team. So I hope, everything works out for him. He was a joy to watch him lift the spirits of the guys last year. And I think it was even, it was one or 2 games he came in, hit a couple threes to help us in the playoffs. So, he's a member of the championship team. So anybody that's a member of a Lakers championship will always have a place in their heart with me. So kudos.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more on that. He didn't play as much of a role as I thought he would when we first signed him in the summer of 2019? I thought he would play a larger role personally, but ultimately, LakerTom, he didn't play as much as he did when he was with the Warriors.
No, I think the thing that I'll always remember from Quinn is the Kobe situation. He was the one Laker that was down there in front of Staples and celebrating and rejoicing with the fans as they tried to honor Kobe after the accident. And I think he got a lot of respect from his teammates. I think that Kobe's death probably hit him as hard as anybody on the team. And so, he always has been an excellent shooter. It was kind of funny. I thought it was coming because he got sort of like his last trial run a few games ago where he got a pretty big run in the second half and just wasn't, just like everybody else on the team has just not been able to hit a shot. So with those two spots open, I think that, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Do we go out and get a big man? Do we go out and get another shooter? I still think that one of the things that we have to do, and I think it's been displayed in the way the team has performed that we really lack another playmaker. We need a second guard besides Dennis Schroeder who can actually run the offense and shoot threes and go out there and do stuff to keep LeBron from burning out completely. But the problems that we've seen, these were problems that have basically been exacerbated by the absence of Anthony Davis and the absence of Dennis Schroeder. But they were there before. We saw them before every time LeBron went out of the game. Even when AD was on the floor without LeBron, we still saw the problems that we always had a great plus minus when LeBron was in the game. But whenever he left the game, we always struggled. And then, now it's just sort of disintegrated into a terrible situation. And I think that one of the solutions to that situation is we're going to make a multiple player trade where we're going to trade 2 or 3 guys for somebody, probably 2 or 3 guys out of the rotation, I think, or somebody who can actually come in and be maybe not a third superstar, but at least an all-star level player. I think the Lakers need to do that because I don't see us. I mean, even if we were able to somehow get by the Portland Trail Blazers and the LA Clippers and these Utah Jazz that were so impressive this evening, then we still have to face a team with 3 superstars, 3 legitimate superstars in the Nets. And, the Nets are going to be wheeling and dealing before the trade deadline to improve that roster that they've got. And every player that we'll be looking at, the Nets are going to be looking at, and the Bucks are going to be looking at, and the Heat are going to be looking at. So it's a situation where I think the pressure's on the Lakers to make a move, and I'm hoping that they'll be able to find the right combination of players to offer somebody to make that move. We've got some talented guys. The problem is that we need, instead of a bunch of talented guys, we need a third guy to really complement LeBron and AD and help carry that load.
And you don't think Dennis can do it, huh?
Not at 30% three-point shooting. That's the problem that I see with it.
And when he shot 37% last year, that's a different story. But this year,
but that was the one that was an outlier year.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Well, let me finish my sentence because it's his career is closer to 31. I think it was 31 and a half, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's not pretty when it gets it like that. So I agree with LakerTom. As much as I like Dennis Schroeder, as much as I love his bravado, I mean, when you're shooting 31% as a career and 30 something in that range this year is what he's shooting, that's not a good sign. But we'll have to wait and see. Again, they might go ahead and sign him to a contract just so they can go ahead and have him there. I know that's something that a lot of teams would like to see, is that he's under contract before the Lakers trade him. Right. So that's something that we'll have to look into. But
that extension for him is not bad because it's just like $2 million more a year, 18 instead of 16. Mm-hmm. The problem is that if you give him the extension, you won't be able to trade him until summer.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
And so, there's 3 assets basically that are probably the core assets that are 2 of those 3 I think are going to be gone.
Well, maybe we'll have it like if the Lakers trade him to whoever he gets traded to, they'll already have worked out the fact that maybe he'll be.
That's a possibility too. I think it's more likely that he won't get his extension directly from us.
There you go.
I think that he and KCP are the logical people to be traded. Harold also, just simply because we won't be able to bring Harold back because he's going to demand more money than we'll have any cap space to spend. But the problem is he's a center, and we're really short on centers, short on bigs,
Well, ironic that would be if we traded away both Harold and Schroeder, as we were lauding. They were so great. Lakers had such a great offseason, and we decided to trade them away.
Between the two of them, it's two guys who only shoot 3 threes a game.
I know.
But Dennis, he's a valuable player. He's a very good defender. He can.
I would trade KCP and Harold before I would Schroeder, probably, even with the shooting issue, because he can get to the rim.
Yeah, and
but the problem is, if you could get to the rim,
let LRob go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, when you go be facing the Damian and the Lillards and possibly, like you say, you're going to go up against Uncle Drew. I mean, you better have you better have a good defensive guard. And
no, I think that's what we want to trade for. Hopefully, you bring back somebody who can defend and shoot the three.
Remember, Vogel's a defensive guy. I mean, he's a defense first type of guy. So I don't know if he's going to be that quick to get rid of Dennis. Now, Harold, I can see that because his defense is, not very good anyway. So
we'll see what happens. But guys, it's been great talking to you. My kudos to both of you for facing the music. I mean, we're going to be here when times are bad. So we were here when the times are good. And I know LRob was big shouting out back when the Lakers won the World Championship.
He's in Detroit, so it's very late for him.
Yeah, so I give him major props for, LakerTom, I don't give you as major props. Now, you don't get as major props. The LRob does.
California, so it doesn't.
Yeah, we're on Pacific time. You and I got it easy. The night's still young, but, especially here in Vegas. But, LRob, you get some big props. Before
Central time, man.
Yeah. Any last thoughts before we head on out? LRob?
No, I'm looking for the game Friday. See, I want to see the bounce back. See, I mean, everybody can play better. I don't think it's anybody who really played to their potential. So
it's a pride game on Friday.
Yeah. So like Mark Jackson said in the broadcast, it's really not about the scoreboard. It's about the effort. And today they didn't bring the effort. So Friday, hey, you might lose it, but at least play with some heart, play with some effort.
Right.
Yeah, so. I mean, if Lillard's going to get it 50, just make sure you're at least 126 to 124 shootout or something like that. Just keep it close. Just keep it to the point where you have a chance to win. And we could have easily won 2 games already in the past few days, and we had very much a
chance. One more three-pointer in each game.
Yeah, and that's all we needed. But unfortunately, that's not the case. The Lakers have lost 4 in a row. They did, unfortunately, lose 114-89 to the Utah Jazz today. But LakerTom, please just go ahead and let us know what you're doing at Lakerholics.com before we head on out.
I'm not sure what I'm going to be focusing on in the next few days.
Will it contain any bad words?
Nope, I won't do that. I'm still half glass full guy. So, every team goes through these streaks in the season, and even in a shortened season like this one, you go through these streaks, and the simple reality is that we're down probably 2 of our best 4 players, and one of them is a superstar. So that makes a big difference, and so you have to make an adjustment. It's sort of like everything bad that could happen to us all at once happened to us. So sometimes those types of situations are what gets you through the really hard parts of the season and build something that is sustainable, that you can get you some wins down the road in the playoffs. So I'm hoping that the Lakers will come back Friday. I'm hoping Dennis will be in there. He'll have a great game, and he'll show me that it's stupid to think of trading him.
Well, I'll tell you what, the last time the Lakers went through a stretch like this was, the bubble. And they ended up in the long run winning. So, you know what? Maybe a good outcome is in store for the Lakers at some point in time when everything gets back and right in the world as far as AD and Schroeder back in the lineup. Will we see Schroeder in the lineup? We certainly hope so. We'll know on Friday, and we will be back on Friday evening to give you the update on what went down between the Lakers and the Blazers. But again, the Lakers did unfortunately come out disappointed there in Salt Lake. But you know what? We'll come back strong this Friday right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.